Welcome everyone. Nice. I see some folks already commenting in the chat. Nice. So as you guys know, as some folks have already doing, we always like to start our webinars with a hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you guys are, and let us know where you are. It's always nice to see where folks are coming from. I see some Colombia. Nice. Desde Colombia. Nice. Very good. As usual, guys, welcome to our webinar. Today we're going to be going over some updates, things like that we want to hopefully make you aware of if you aren't already aware of. And I'm also going to give you guys some tips on what to do with these updates and how they can affect you. I do want to apologize in the beginning here. I have a little bit of a cold right now. So if you, in fact, just one moment, I might cough once or twice during, I'm going to try not to cough. But I might cough once or twice during our webinar today, and I do have a little bit of tea with me. So in my little Italki mug here. So hopefully that helps me keep going. But we'll get through this, and we'll answer some questions, and we'll give you guys some tips, and hopefully this will be great. Greece, nice. Switzerland, Philippines, UK, Ukraine, very nice. Thailand, very cool. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, let's get started though. So as per our usual, our webinar guidelines here, of course, we want to be polite and respectful for me to you and to you to me. Also, once again, we want to respect other people's privacy. So don't share your information. Don't share other people's personal information. This is on YouTube. It's out there in the internet. You don't want to be sharing that stuff to the whole world. And then also, if there are specific issues or unsolved problems that you have, contact customer support. There's nothing in this webinar I'm going to be able to do to help you. So contacting customer support, explaining to them, that's going to get you the best results. Talking to me here in the webinar, I'm going to be like, hey, I'm sorry, but that's about all I can do is say, hey, I'm sorry. And then obviously any questions regarding business intelligence, performance of things, search page algorithm and stuff like that, I'm just going to ignore those questions. I'm not going to answer them. So I wouldn't bother asking them. Nice. Germany, Pakistan, Switzerland, Nigeria. Very cool. Don't usually get Nigeria. Yeah. Thanks, Debbie. I love the mug too. This question does come up sometimes, so I'll answer it right now. So it does come up like, oh, merchandise for teachers, and can we do that? That's something that we're working on. It's something that we'd like to do for you guys, is be able to sell you guys or give you guys, maybe like, hey, you hit 10,000 lessons, here's a mug. I don't know, we haven't worked out the details, but it is something people ask me about, and I'll answer that question right now. We do want to hopefully get you guys things like this in the long run. All right, now guys, let's go over, I think everyone knows who I am at this point. If you've tuned into any of these webinars or watched any of these webinars in the past year or so, I've been hosting these. I have a strong education background. I work here at Italki. I've been in online education for many years and done many roles in that, but now I'm here helping you guys. Cool. Now, folks, what are we going to talk about today? Well, there's two big updates that I want to kind of mention that are going to be pretty impactful for you guys, the teachers. There's some other little updates I'm going to go over as well, give you some tips about them, things like that. But the two main ones that we're going to talk about today are the lesson category and Italki Plus. I'm going to go over what those kind of are, what changed, and why we changed them a little bit. And then I'm also going to discuss like how you can sort of make the most of those things. Okay. Now, sorry, one more time. Sorry about that, guys. I really do apologize. I hate getting coughed in my ear, but like at the same time, I can't help it right now. Sorry. Okay, so lesson categories. Let's start there. So first question we always kind of got was, why even have categories? What, we get that question. Teachers ask us, why do I have to select a category? Why can't I just put my lessons on there and I'll teach whatever the students want and things like that? So there's a couple of reasons why we have lesson categories. They're pretty simple. Categorizing lessons help people find the right lesson, and they help people find the right teacher. All I can see is like, oh, all the teachers for English have English lessons. Different people have different expertise, and they have different levels of expertise. And this kind of helps pull those people, and show those people who has that expertise that they're looking for, things like that. As well, for you guys, the teachers, everybody wants to be on the top of a list, right? I'm not going to talk about the search page algorithm, of course, but like everybody wants to be on the top of that list, right? So the more lists there are, categories make new lists. The more lists there are, the more chances you have to be on the top of that list, right? To be higher up. If someone's coming in and they're just, all they see is English teachers and they just see a list of teachers, your chance of being at the top of that list is very slim. Depends on how many active English teachers there are on Italki. I think right now we're at around 8,000 or something. But you're one of 8,000, so your chance of being on top of the list is 1 in 8,000, right? So if I divide that up among specialties and categories, it divides up all those teachers. Some people are going to see this list, some people are going to see that list. So it creates more lists. Now, creating categories wasn't actually the update, right? What we actually updated was now we ask teachers to verify that they have qualifications or experience to teach those categories. Why did we do that? Well, for students, not just, a lot of people like, students complain that this teacher wasn't qualified. We do get that, and that was part of it. I will say part of the conversation was, oh man, I tried this teacher. They said they were a business expert. I went to their class, and it was very clear to me right from the start that they had no idea what they were talking about. Like, why would you let this? And the student asked us, I talked to, why would you let this person be a business teacher? And we're like, well, we don't really control that. So there was a little bit of that. But it also is for the students to understand, and part of this will go back to the students, is we're communicating that to the students that, hey, these teachers who are in this category have shown us that they're qualified and have experience and can teach these lessons. That builds their confidence too. They know that when they're going to select that business teacher, that at least in some way, individual skill can vary, but at least in some way, that teacher has shown that, yeah, I have some sort of experience, I have some sort of training, I have some sort of confidence to be able to teach this topic, business, test, kids. Okay. Now, for you guys, if you haven't, you can upgrade, or that's what we're kind of calling it internally, upgrade to a business teacher or a test prep teacher. Go into your teacher settings. You'll go into the it's not in the lesson area, it's in the about the profile settings and stuff like that. You can add, there's a little button there, you'll see it, it'll say like add test prep. You can click on that, you upload some sort of certificate. We've gotten all sorts of certificates. That's why if you go to our FAQ, it's like really, really general what sort of certificate we'll accept, because for all the different languages, 150 languages, there's so many different types of certificates. Different countries have different certifications for different things. So we try to be as general as we can, because all we're really looking for is that you have that experience, that you have that training, that you have that qualification, and that can take many different forms. So we try not to, be too specific and try to limit people when they're like, oh, I don't, my certificate doesn't work. Try it. The worst that's going to happen is we're going to say, no, it doesn't work. And then you can upload another one, or you can try a different route. You can do that as many times as you need until you figure out what's going to be good proof. I've seen lots of different like TEFL certificates that are specialty ones, business management TEFLs or business English TEFLs and IELTS TEFLs and things like that. I think one of the comments we got once was like, well, IELTS doesn't officially have any training or anything like that. And that's true. IELTS, the organization, the testing organization doesn't have any official training, but there's a lot of accredited institutions out there, a lot of people, who have accredited certificates who do offer 40 and 60-hour TEFL trainings and things like that, So we're willing to accept a wide variety of things. That's why we try to keep it sort of general. Once again, my apologies. So if you haven't already, go take a look at that and see, where you might be able to upgrade into one of those specialties. Once again, that gives you those privileges, it gives you those settings. And then we're also, going to be expanding this. We're also going to be developing this. I think we said before that this is sort of the first step. Doing this verification process, setting that up, is sort of the first step in this whole idea that we have for lesson categories, and it's going to expand, and it's going to get tools and settings and things like that for you guys to really be able to build and grow on this. Okay. Now, The next big thing is if you have these categories, and I have a picture here for you guys. This is where the tips kind of come in. Is make sure that you're setting your categories properly. We see this a fair bit. People who taught their names are business English, and then their categories are not set up right and things like that. And it's like, hey, if your profile name is business English with Yisen, and you have all your business lessons, but you're not putting them in the right categories, then you're missing an opportunity, because anyone who goes and searches on the search page can search the keyword business, and you might pop up. But if your categories are not, if your lessons are not in the right category, someone who goes and searches by category is not going to see your business lessons because they're not in the right category. So do make sure, I have the picture here. You don't want, like, you can see this one, it says business English, CV and interview prep, speaking and presentation, and the category is conversation. You don't want that, because if someone goes in and searches, once again, if someone goes in and searches business, they're not going to see you, and they're not going to see this class. What you do want is like the one below. It says, speak business English with clarity and confidence, and that's in the business category. That's what you want to make sure that you're doing, okay, guys? So there's a little tip there. As you can see also with here, like Paul, I just used Paul as an example because when I went in to grab a picture, Paul was there. And, I'm sure he probably wouldn't mind. He might. I don't know. Paul, if you're here today, you can let me know if you might. But anyway, Paul got test prep, Paul got business. So you can see now that we've also put a tag there that says like a little check mark. Yeah, Paul is certified and ready to go. Okay. So that's kind of lesson category now. Once again, guys, a lot more to come there. One of the other little changes that we did was we did change general to language essentials. And so far, the feedback on that from students has been really, really good. The conversion rates, the people buying general or buying language essential classes seems to have gone up. People sort of understand what language essentials is different from conversation. A lot of times there was a little bit of like lack of clarity for students when they were like, we would ask them, we'd be like, what's general class to you and what's conversation class to you? And they're like, oh, it's the same thing. And then when we kind of ask them, okay, well, what's a language essentials class to you and what's a conversation class to you? Then they kind of get it. Okay, yeah, language essentials is going to focus on grammar and language structure and things like that. And so, it's like, okay, that sort of makes sense. General, we just kind of got rid of the term. So now it's language essentials and conversation, and then the specialties. Okay. Sorry, talking a lot kind of makes me cough a little bit more. All right. And once again, final note on that, lots and lots of things to come with that. So, keep your eyes peeled. There's going to be some updates coming with that. More and more updates coming with that. Cool. Okay. Let me just quickly sort of my co-host who usually sits behind the scenes and helps me look for questions. They're also sick, but since they're not in front of the camera, they like, hey, can I take the day off? So, but I also do need to kind of look at questions. Okay, I'm going to get to that question right now, Hatis. If I said your name wrong, sorry. But your question was, how can I join Italki Pro? It is no longer called Italki Pro. After some teachers' feedback and some students' feedback and things like that, and internally we kind of like, we were never really sure of the pro name, and based on some feedback, we actually changed it to Italki Plus. So it is now called Italki Plus. And how do you join it? As a teacher, it's actually really simple, and I'll get to that in a moment. But first, what is Italki Plus? So Italki Plus is a feature. It's a package. It's a subscription for students. Okay, students are going to sign up for this, and they get extra things from Italki. Part of that is partnership deals, as I've listed here. So they sign up for Italki Plus, they pay the subscription fee, and they get access to other partners in language learning. I'm not going to toss out any names right now, just because some of those are still up in the air, and I also don't want to give too much away. But anyway, we've worked with other apps, other software in language learning, and we've worked out deals with them. And so when you sign up for Italki Plus, you also get like maybe a membership to those other partners, or you get like a basic membership with those other partners that you can then upgrade to even more, or something like that. There's lots of different kind of deals going on. But that's sort of the thing, is they'll have access to other tools outside of Italki to help them learn language, vocab tools and other sort of, not obviously tutoring, live tutoring tools. We don't want to pull people off to other sites, but other sort of tools for education. There's also going to be member exclusive events, sort of like this. We're going to have webinars for students. We're going to have meetups and challenges specifically for Italki Plus students, things where they can earn prizes, or they can learn things, or they can talk with people who are experts in different fields and things like that. So there's going to be meetups and webinars and stuff like that. So what I'm getting at here too is it's not just the AI features. The AI features are the part that impacts you guys, the teachers, the most, because you have to collaborate with the student. You both have to agree to be using these AI features. So when we talk to you guys, it was kind of like, hey, this is the most important part. Is we want to be upfront with this, and we want to talk to you guys about AI features. And we want you. We are kind of focusing on that with our communication with you, because that's the biggest part of it for you guys, the teachers. But for the students, it's one piece of the whole puzzle. Those AI features, we talked about them last webinar. If you're not familiar with them, we sort of introduced them all. So you should go take a look at that webinar. Our CEO, Kevin, and Jake from the AI team were both in that webinar with me, talking about those features and talking about AI on Italki. So I think it's a good chance for you guys to learn about those. Just go watch that webinar. It's a fairly short one. It's like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, something like that. Okay, now, sorry, I really do apologize, but I can't help it. Now, okay, what is in Italki Plus for you, the teacher? One of the main things, and we've said this in a couple of different spots, is these students are paying a subscription. They're getting benefits with, Italki and stuff like that. So we know that people signing up for this service are going to be much more serious learners, right? They're going to be much more likely to be stable, be consistent, be better motivated to keep learning with you. They're going to be making better progress. Also, we've talked about this in the AI one, but a lot of these tools also save you guys time, right? The lesson summary, you don't have to take as much time during the class to be writing out notes and things like that, if that's something you do. I know my teachers tend to do that. They tend to write notes as we go. It's like, okay, well, we can kind of save a little bit of that time. We can use the lesson summary and things like that to go over that. We will be continuing to improve those tools and stuff like that too. So, that's something that's going to get better over time. And I have seen a lot of like, hey, why do I need an AI lesson summary if I already make a summary for my students? Sure, but this can help you do it. They aren't always perfect, so you do want to kind of look them over sometimes. But it can help you do it quicker. It can help you do it faster, easier, so that you're saving yourself some time too, right? Now I do. I'll get to questions and stuff. I see questions popping up, but I'll get to those in a moment too. I want to keep kind of going over some of my notes here. So one of the other myths that I see a lot, and I do want to try to dispel this as best as I can. I know I'm from Italki, so all I can tell you is I see this a lot. I see this like Italki is harvesting our conversations to build AI tutors, and then they're gonna get rid of all the tutors and blah blah. No, we are not gonna replace robots and replace our teachers or anything like that. Okay. First off, one of the problems with that is just logistics. Like, if you know a little bit about like how they build these LLMs, these large language models like ChatGPT and stuff like that, this takes a lot of data, and it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of money. So part of me sort of flattered that you guys think that we have that sort of money and that sort of resource to like build these large language models using your guys' data and stuff like that. But it just really, it wouldn't, I don't even know like how to say, it just really wouldn't be feasible. Like, I think the last time I saw, I think it said like it takes like $20 million each iteration, not each time, like not overall, but like it takes like $20 million for OpenAI to do like from 3.5 to like 4, it takes like $20 million. And it's like, yeah, that's not something that we just are gonna do, because you know. And also, I want to mention, right, and we've mentioned this time and time and time again, we are very committed to the human experience of learning a language, right? Language is meant to bring people together, it's meant to connect people together. When that's also the important piece, right? Is it's not just that I'm learning the language, it's that I'm learning the language from someone who's learned that language or has that culture of that language, and I'm connecting to that person. And AI bots are getting better, and maybe they can kind of recreate some of that, but I think people understand when they're talking to a person and when they're talking to a bot, and I think people prefer the human connection still. Okay, that's my personal opinion on that too. Another concern that I've seen too, and then I'll take a moment to scroll up and look at the questions a little bit. We will have a Q&A at the end too. So if I don't answer all your questions, we'll have a Q&A at the end too. But yeah, anyway, I've seen some concern about the search and recommendations, and like, are we somehow forcing teachers to accept AI recordings by limiting search results and stuff like that? No, and I do want to explain that a little bit because we've gotten some questions about that. So with Italki Plus, students will see Italki Plus teachers. That will be, they will see more of those teachers more in the search results is how I'm going to put that. So if you're an Italki Plus teacher, and I'll talk in a moment how to do that, and Italki Plus students go and search, they're going to see more of those Italki Plus teachers sort of up towards the top of the results. The reason for that is very simple, guys. If I bought a service or I bought something, then chances are I want to use that something. If I want to use that something, then I need to be able to kind of find the teachers who are going to use that. Now, students who have not signed up for this service, and we're not sure how many students are going to sign up for this service, students who have not signed that will see no difference, no change, nothing in their searches, okay? Teachers will appear as teachers have always appeared based on the search algorithms and stuff like that, okay? It's just that, yeah, when a student's an Italki Plus student, they're going to see those, and they'll still see other teachers. Don't get me wrong. It's not like we filter out the other teachers. They'll still see them. It's just that those teachers are going to be what we say weighted a little bit higher so that students can find them more easily if they're looking for a teacher to use their Italki Plus stuff with. Okay, now that does sort of bring me to the next sort of question I saw way earlier up in the questions. How do I do this? How do I be an Italki Plus teacher? It's fairly simple. You're going to go on your student side. It's the privacy settings are on the student side. But if you go into your settings, you're going to go in, you're going to click, and it's like enable lesson recording in the classroom, because that's where the AI works. And in order for the AI to work, it only records the audio. And I think it says that on the thing. It says enable audio recording in the classroom. Doesn't record the video at all. But it enables audio recording because that's what the AI uses. The AI records the class, creates a transcript, and then builds the progress tracking and the homework and the practice tools and summaries. It builds all that off of your conversations, you're talking in the class, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind. So all you got to do is go in and change those settings. It was in one of the emails, but come over to the forum, and I'll drop a picture in the forum if people ask on how to change those settings. Okay. Okay, let me kind of come back up here a little bit. Sorry, I'm going still a little sick, so I'm still a little out of it. Let me answer a couple of questions that have popped up. Could students have an option to tip teachers? Lulu, students and teachers have had mixed feelings about that, and so we've never changed it. Some teachers feel that that's degrading is the word that was used when we last brought it up. So we've never put in the option to tip your teacher. It's sort of like charge the price that you want, and if you liked what you received, then come back again and do it again. And yeah, so I don't think we'll be doing that anytime soon. In a few months coming, are there not? So Alex, I'm going to get Alex asked about upgrades to Italki Classroom. I'm going to talk about Italki Classroom in a few minutes, so I'll come back to that question. Where are the other webinars? They're here on YouTube. So if you look at our YouTube channel page, Italki's YouTube channel page, you should be able to find them. pretty quick and easy. They're also over on the teacher forum. So if you go into the news and announcements, we always announce the webinar, or I always put a post in there like, hey, if you missed the webinar, check it out and we'll talk about it here. So you can go find those links over on the teacher forum as well. Click the lesson summary for those I have Italki Plus. So there's lots of updates. Jacqueline's asking some questions about Italki Plus. There are lots of updates still coming to that. We are in a beta test right now, Jacqueline. So I'll explain this a little bit to you guys. So one of the challenges with a beta test with students is, as Italki, I don't know exactly who students want to choose as their teachers. So when we do a beta test with students, we do not a beta test with teachers. So you guys get like access. Everyone, all the teachers get access. And then we only let a certain amount of students get access. That's so that no matter who those students choose, they can sort of see all the teachers, right? So we sort of open it to all the teachers and only a few of the students. That's sort of how we did this beta test. What makes that challenging is we do get feedback and teachers like, why didn't you beta test this before you release it to all of us? And it's like, well, actually, this is the beta test, but in order for the beta test to work for the student side, we have to beta test everyone. All the teachers are sort of in a beta test. So I will say that. And then colored badges and those sort of updates, yeah, they're still working on those kinds of things. And teachers have like a little robot badge now on the search page, little red robot badge that says like, oh, this teacher's a Italki Plus teacher. Cool. Italki Plus will eventually be subscription fee. I think right now for the beta test, we're allowing sort of a free trial, but and we also don't know how much exactly it will cost yet. We're still working all that out. It depends on partnerships and things like that as well, and students' interests and stuff like that. So all that kind of stuff. Okay. Cool. Covered that question. You don't. This is sort of a strange question, but I will answer. Can I create another account for teaching other languages? No. You have one teacher account, but you can add languages to your teacher account. So if you want to teach, there are many teachers who teach multiple languages. I think the max right now, we have one teacher who teaches like 9 languages. So it is possible to teach more than one language with your Italki account. What was the new contract change? Well, we don't have contracts, James, so we don't have contracts. So I'm not sure if you're talking about the terms of service, which updated recently. Then there was, I think there's a highlight there. I can't quote it right now, but there, if you go to the terms of service, it says like what we updated. There was some stuff about data privacy with some of the new AI stuff and sort of trying to clarify some of that. There was some other changes, little bits and pieces. I would, if you're really that interested, I would go look over at the terms of service. You can type in like idoki.com/TOS terms of service, and it'll pop up. Teachers do not have to pay for Italki Plus, so that's the cost will be on the student side. They'll get all the things. You guys just use the AI tools with them. That's sort of the thing there. Gareth asked if you can be a Plus teacher and use Zoom. So the AI tools are not going to work in any other place but the classroom. So your students are likely, those students who really want to use Italki Plus and who are adamant about that, they are probably going to insist on using the classroom. I mentioned I was going to get to the classroom in a moment, but that also means that we are going to be working a lot on the classroom. Especially, we did some work behind the scenes this year. We're going to be doing more work, even more work next year as well, to make sure that classroom is performing well and to people's expectations. Okay, cool. So that's what I'll say about that. They're probably going to insist because the tools don't work outside of classroom, because potentially we might be able to in the very far future develop something that like works with Zoom, and you would like enable in Zoom, and then it might do it. But yeah, cool. sorry, I'm kind of going through and reading questions and reading comments to make sure that I'll get to more questions later. Cool. I think I answered some of that stuff. Okay, let's go on, and then we'll have Q&A at the end too. I know you guys still have questions about Italki Plus and stuff like that, and I'll try to answer that. But I also want to get to this, and we only have about 15 minutes left. Okay, now those were like the two big sort of updates that impact teachers the most. There's also been some smaller updates I want to make you guys aware of if you weren't already, if you missed the email or something like that. Hopefully the first one you guys know, because it was actually kind of a big update for your guys' side. But anyway. So we did change the calendar to 15-minute intervals. We're going to be, we've gotten some feedback on the calendar layout and stuff like that too. We'll hopefully be having an opportunity to sort of work on the layout and adjust that, make it a little bit more user-friendly and stuff like that. But teachers and students now have access to 15-minute intervals on the calendar instead of 30-minute intervals. It's something that you guys, the teachers, have given us lots of feedback about. I'm glad we finally got to do that. I said hopefully in 2025 we're going to be able to adjust some of the UX, the design of that, so it's hopefully a little bit better. We've had some people be a little confused by how it is right now. The contact form. We removed the contact form. Some people were happy about that. Some people were not happy about that. We understand. Can't please everyone. Basically, what happened is we asked the students a lot of these questions already when they're signing up. Kind of like, hey, what do you want to do? What's this about? What do you want to? Why are you joining Italki and stuff like that? And then the contact form asks a lot of those same questions. And a lot of teachers were like, students don't really fill out my contact form. It's really, students, don't take the time to do that. They just message me or something like that. So basically what we said, it's like, well, instead of the teacher sort of asking this question again, we've already asked it. Why don't we just give the teacher what they've answered, and then they can just kind of continue the conversation from there, save students a step, hopefully saves you guys a step of having to set that up and stuff. We're going to be continuing to kind of work on that and tweak some things like that as well. Cool. And then one of the kind of other updates, sort of smaller, but I think it was something that people had requested for a while, and I was actually happy that we got to bring it to you. But we also added the statement of activity. We had a lot of requests for this. It's just a document that shows like, hey, I have worked on Italki. Here's how many lessons I've taught on the site, and then here's sort of the money I've earned. We get a lot of requests for this for like visas, proof of work and stuff like that for taxes and things like that. Now, we are going to be tweaking some of this too. There's like a little bit of confusion because like your teacher dashboard earnings show your earnings after we take our commission, and right now the statement of activity they took the wrong number a little bit and they're trying to fix it, but it's basically your earnings before we take the commission. So there's like a discrepancy there of your commission with Italki and stuff like that. But yeah, we had a lot of digital nomads and things like this, people asking for this. So we were happy we could provide that for you. If you're not sure where it is, if you go into your basic information on your teacher settings, you go into basic information, there's a little button right there, and it'll download, it generates it, and it'll download your PDF, and it's printable. You can print it out and take it to the visa office or whatever. So cool. Sorry, excuse me. I'm gonna try to rest my voice a little bit after this. All right, now guys, we got about I usually try to end these about 45 minutes in, so we got about 10 minutes. I saw lots of questions popping up. I am going to go back and try to answer some more questions. Remember, for questions, rule 1, obviously be respectful and polite. If something's not polite, I'm just going to ignore it. Rule 2, remember, don't share anybody's information. Okay? No email addresses, no nothing. And then rule 3, if you have a specific issue, remember, once again, customer service is going to be your friend there. I'm not going to be able to look up specific issues or weigh in on something that customer service said or anything like that. And then, obviously, as I said in the very beginning, rule 4, no business intelligence stuff. Okay, I'm going to scroll up here a little bit, so give me just 1 second. Okay, I saw Garrett's question. Um, So teacher Susanna asked about a teacher's cafe where we would connect with teachers. There is the teacher forum. It's a written, it's not like a video conferencing sort of thing. But there is the forum where we encourage you guys to talk to each other and ask questions. There was actually a really good discussion the other day about negativity on there, and like, hey, like your guys' negativity is sort of scaring off some other teachers here, and like maybe you guys want to be a little bit more positive. We do want feedback. We do want feedback, but like you want to be constructive and be positive with your feedback. We're all working on this together. So you can join there. We have discussed and we are sort of planning some other teacher functions, and I won't give too many details away right now, but there's some works to do some other things for you guys as well. Oh, I will cover this. So Rika was asking about uploading for the lesson summary and stuff like that. We took that feature out because it just wasn't really working that well. So they were just like, the transcript is really giving us much, much better results. So uploading from other places to do the lesson summary just wasn't working. So they disabled that for now until they can get it working a lot better. Not Sophia asked about, apart from enabling recording in our profile, we have to press record during the lesson, right? If you're talking about Italki Plus, you do not. So that was actually the reason why we moved it over to there, is once you click that on, and it's only with Plus students, I do want to reiterate that. So if both you and the student have agreed to use Italki Plus and allow the lesson recording to happen, if you've agreed on your profile, then that lesson recording in that class will happen automatically. That's so that people don't forget to turn it on and things like that. It's less steps. It's less things for you guys to remember. It's just like, hey, both of you guys have already agreed, so this will happen, and you'll get the results of that. Okay. Yeah, we already talked. I already answered that question. How do you know if students is an Italki Plus student? That's a great question. They do have a profile symbol, and I think they're working on like a notification that comes to you, the teacher, like, hey, this is a this will be a Plus student. Cool. If I have an English speaking audience for my Spanish lesson, should I write my description in English and Spanish, only in English, only in Spanish? Whew. That can be a little bit of a tricky question. ¿Qué pasa español? What I would say is I would do both, and I personally would put English first. We do have feedback from students sometimes. This is actually good feedback for English teachers too. It's very challenging for English teachers, but we have students who they kind of see this wall of text in another language, and they get overwhelmed. And they're like, I'm not really going to read that, and so they sort of get overwhelmed by that. Whether that's not like a huge factor. A lot of times the video plays a much more important role in like who they book, but it can be a factor when they see this huge, like, so if I'm an English speaking student learning Spanish and I see this wall of Spanish text, it can be a little overwhelming. So I would maybe put English and Spanish, and then I would put the English first, Spanish underneath. That's probably what I would do there. That also helps because, once again, like, people do search, right? They do go in and they type a word into search. And if I'm searching Spanish and I type in business because I'm an English speaker, the way the search works, like, it's maybe not going to put negocion or something like that in Spanish, right? It's just gonna search for business, and if it doesn't have a match in your profile, you would maybe still appear, but you're going to appear farther down than someone who had the word business in English in their profile. That's how search works. Cool. I'm Payoneer stuff and payment stuff. Come talk to us on the forum. That's a complicated topic, and I'm not gonna. Sorry. question. Enabling recording in our profile, we have to press record. No, okay, I said okay. So Gareth, the toggle is not in Classroom. It's outside of Classroom. It's on your profile. So if I didn't make that clear later, yeah, the profile, the toggle is in your settings, and it's actually not in your teacher settings. Privacy settings are on the student side. So even as a teacher, you have to go over to the student side, go into settings, and go to privacy, and it's in there. Once again, come over to the forum, and I can like do a screenshot. I can't share a screenshot right now. So okay, so there's another question here about Classroom, and I did want to get to that. So in 2024, we did a lot of work behind the scenes. So it might not always be evident, but there's been a lot of work behind the scenes, like getting different connection routes that are stabilized and stuff like that, right? Like we like to think like right now I'm on YouTube, and my connection is going to YouTube server, whichever server they have servers all over the world. They're a big, Google's a big, huge company, and so they have servers all over the world. And then from that server, it's going to you guys via different paths. And we like to think that that's like a direct connection or something like that, but it's really not. These routes take all sorts of paths, and they have to go, under the ocean, if we're on different continents and things like that. So we've done a lot of work behind the scenes on Classroom on trying to sort of optimize those connections and other areas where that were more prone to dropping. They did a lot of work on like, oh, how can we change the coding of the Classroom? They've done a lot of work on trying to bring the bandwidth down. That's all sort of behind the scenes stuff that nothing on the surface changes. I will say on the surface, guys, they added the blurred background, which I'm not even using right now in our webinar, but like they added the blurred background, little sort of cosmetic UI user experience sort of things for you guys. Now next year they're going to be working a lot on the UI. They're going to continue to work on those connections and the coding and all that kind of hardware, not hardware, but like the nitty gritty of the software sort of things as well to try to improve that connection and stuff too. I know that's maybe not the greatest, most detailed answer, but that's where they're really kind of focusing is, they want to make sure it works. And then they're also going to be going back through and making sure that it feels good to use it, that the buttons make sense, that your experience in the classroom, not just the connection experience, but the other experience is going to improve. And there's some plans ahead for 2025 for that. Okay, so some things like that. Cool. Suppose you read what other person were wrongly agreeing is like coming. In the chat, we're probably not going to do a whole lot of things with the chat this year. Someone was asking like, oh, is there going to be like things that highlight mistakes and stuff like that in the chat? Probably not for a while. That's going to be fairly low priority. When is Plus rolled out? So right now we're in beta test. The hope is to roll it out of beta test in the beginning of 2025. So January or February of 2025. I don't know an exact date for you guys, but that's the idea. So right now we're beta testing and we're adjusting things, and they're doing all the work that a beta test requires, and then they'll send that out hopefully in 2025, early 2025. No, you don't have to upload your materials for Italki Plus. You just agree and use Classroom. Templates for opportunities. Yeah, it's actually something that we're working on as AI tools for you guys, the teachers. So one of the next steps with AI is to give you guys tools to use. One of the things would be like templates for communication, or like AI translation, like better than Google Translate, things like that. More payment stuff. Once again, payment stuff, come talk on the forum with us, and I'll try to give you more details there. Group lessons. Group lessons are on hold right now while we had some plans for group lessons, and then AI sort of took off, and the industry was like, no, we got to get AI stuff sort of going. So group lessons are on hold. Yeah, more group lesson questions. That's my answer to that. Group lessons are on hold right now, guys, or developments there. Payment questions. Cool. Students, inappropriate students in instant lessons. That is a problem still. Some of it is try to be safe. Instant lessons is sort of tricky. There was a conversation a couple weeks ago on instant lessons over on the forum. We had some teachers weighing in, and like I want them to kind of be like this and stuff. Some of that is like if you can offer other lesson types, not trial lessons that are really cheap, but other lesson types as instant lessons to like your current students and stuff like that. That's going to help that. There's been a lot of work. I'm actually going to refuse to go into the detail of the work that we've done to reduce the amount of inappropriate accounts on Italki, because that's data privacy security stuff, and I don't want to give away a hint on what we do there to make Italki a more secure platform. But there has been work this past year, end of 2023, beginning of 2024, we did a lot of work to get rid of some of those bad apples and stuff like that. And from feedback, amounts of feedback and stuff like that from customer service and stuff like that, that does seem to be improving the situation. You're never going to solve it 100%. These people can be very determined and very tricky with how they do things, but we are making some strides there. Is there a possibility of like a teachers conference? Yeah, that's something that we've been kind of discussing, like having teachers do TED Talk type things. We've invited teachers to do webinars in the past. 2022, 2021, these webinars were not hosted by me. These webinars were actually hosted by teachers. The problem being is, different teachers have different sort of expertise, and sometimes like a lot of those webinars sort of fell flat. It's like, we have teachers who are experts in like reading pedagogy and like how to teach reading and blah, 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 blah. We invite them. We're like, wow, you have such a great CV and you have all this experience and you were a professor at blah, blah, blah. And come do a webinar about teaching reading. And then like 5 people would show up. And we were like, okay, so teachers don't really want to learn about how to teach reading. So these webinars with me have been fairly well received, and we mostly focus on updates and Italki and the directions that we're going. That seems to be what people want to tune into. But doing a teacher conference is something that we've talked about, giving a space where teachers can come in and sort of watch different talks or have a chat together or a coffee chat. We've been discussing those kind of things. I know Preply does those kinds of things. We won't mention them too much, but they do things like that too. It's more just like, do you guys want to take the time? Is that something that you're focused on and interested in? Feedback to us has been like sort of lukewarm, not really excited about something like that. So it's like, oh, if you aren't really excited about that, like, yeah, cool. Cool. Sorry, guys, I'm going through. So Jana asked about a job reference for teachers. That's sort of what the statement of activity is meant. We can't take the time to write job references for each individual teacher, but like what we have is a statement of activity that shows that you worked with us, how much you worked with us, and then that you're in good standing with Italki. So that's kind of why we made that statement of activity, is to sort of be a reference for you guys. We don't watch your class, so I can't be like, oh, Jana's a good teacher. I don't actually know. Like, I don't have any point of reference for how your students receive your classes or if they think you do a good job or anything like that, right? Like, that's sort of the marketplace, is like, I don't know how you guys actually teach. Hopefully it's good. But yeah, I can't really like write a letter that says that you do that well. Okay, try. I'm gonna ask guys. Try not to talk to each other. Sorry, I know it's sort of like I know you guys want to chat with each other and stuff, and like I see things about like inappropriate students and stuff like that. But then it also makes me really hard to see where you guys are asking me a question and where you guys are, and we're actually over time. So I'm gonna try to answer. I'm gonna scroll through really quickly, try to find any last minute questions that might be kind of more important than some of the others here really quick. When newsletters come out once a quarter. The last one was like a week ago on like Tuesday or Wednesday. They usually send it out for us on Tuesday or Wednesday. Look in your email if you missed it. If you're not getting it, do remember, guys, if you unsubscribe to our emails, that unsubscribes you to all of our emails. That includes things like the teacher newsletter. So that's an issue that some teachers have had. Like, I don't receive the emails and I don't receive the newsletter. And it's like, well, then we go in and like our system says that you've unsubscribed to us. And it's like, well, that's why. So yeah. Okay. How to use Italki Plus. I already answered that previously. Once again, I'm not going to talk about how we deal with inappropriate accounts because that's privacy. And if I tell you, that gives people a hint on how to overcome those protections. Cool. All right, guys, there's some chatting, there's some other things, but things like that. So guys, we are like, I don't know, we're like almost 7 minutes over. So I'm gonna wrap it up here, guys. If your question didn't get answered, if you feel like it's still really important, you want to go ask it, go over to the forum. For those people who are watching this later, come join us over on the teacher forum. Watch this video, come ask us questions. I'm happy to keep the conversation going. Happy to keep answering questions over in the teacher forum. But for now, I'm going to say thank you all for joining us from Colombia and the Philippines and Argentina and Spain. And I saw some other great Switzerland and Germany and all those other places. Thanks, guys, so much. Sorry if I didn't get to your question today. Once again, go over to the forum, ask the question there. We'll try to give you a better answer over there too. Over there too, I can write things out. I can check facts and figures and give you guys more details there. Okay. Thank you guys so much for joining. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.